Rob on the mic, spitting truth from the heights. Queens unite under stadium lights. Bright nights, 7 train rides. Dreams born in the real hum. Brooklyn to Queens, yeah, we all about that outcome. This our time, this our cheer. Mets talk loud, bring the hype, make it clear. From the boroughs to the field, this our year. Queens in the house, let the world hear. From Flushing Meadows, echoes bounce off the bat. Rob calls, hit the mic, snaps like a thunderclap. Home runs over bridges, no gaps in the story. Mets rise, reclaiming the glory. 7 the city, blue and orange army swarm. Summer vibe electric, love in every form. From Biggie's blocks to Flushing's heartbeat. Our anthem loud, no retreat. This our time, this our cheer. Mets talk loud, bring the hype, make it clear. From the boroughs to the field, this our year. Queens in the house, let the world hear. The apple pops in the outfield, city of dreams. Rob's voice over static, Mets on every stream. White lines mapped out the future, vividly. From shade to city, the journey's never gimmicky.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome to Mets Talk Live right here on the channel and, of course, on X. And you probably might be watching it on Facebook and other platforms as well. So welcome to the show, guys, as we finished the series against the Blue Jays, and it was a clean sweep. This cleanest city or type of country, city in Toronto is the cleanest in Canada right now, as the Mets did sweep the Toronto Blue Jays, winning 2-1 today, as it was a pitcher's duel yet again, as the Mets have found ways to win low-scoring games, as their offense hasn't been clicking on all cylinders, but definitely the pitching has stepped up big time, and kudos to the bullpen, as we'll get into all of that throughout the show, guys. So make sure you hit on that like button, guys, and subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, say what's up in the chat. You'll get a shout out. Of course, right now we got Brad in here. We got David. We got Paul. We got Daniel, George. And I know there's others because there's more in the chat as in stream as we speak. But we're going to get started by talking about the Blue Jays series. Obviously, it wasn't pretty. Right? I don't care how we win. I don't care how we do it. The best part is that they win a ball game, and no matter who steps up at the biggest moments or the smallest moments, just get it done. And I think that's the most important part when it comes to the New York Mets. We have Francisco Lindor getting the game winning hit. We have Pete Alonso hitting a big home run. We have Jesse Winker doing the job, making something happen to come back and win a ball game. This was the entire homestand, as over 120,000 Mets fans filled Citi Field on the opening series at home to start the season. That is record numbers. That is huge numbers. And usually the day after opening day, you usually get less of a crowd. And it was just tremendously packed and electric. It was electric for every single game. For the first 3 games against the Toronto Blue Jays. So shout out to Met fans who went to Citi Field, dealt with the cold weather. Opening day was nice weather. It was pretty nice there, so that was cool. But Saturday was just rainy and ice cold. And yes, and today was just cold as well, but it was during the day, so it wasn't as cold as Saturday night. But Met fans showed up. They were loud. They were excited. They were electric. And I do feel like it triggers and helps the Mets give that little bit more burst of energy. And you felt it, right? This team doesn't need any gimmicks. They don't need Grimace. They don't need OMG. They don't need Haktua. Seymour Wiener, who threw out the first pitch on opening day last year. They don't need none of them gimmicks because they are a good team, if not a very good to great team. Obviously, record and future will let us know what they will be, but there is no doubt the New York Mets are one of the better teams in baseball. They got the best bullpen in baseball, no doubt about that. They are number 1 in staff ERA as of today, which is awesome. We'll get into that in a little bit as well. But when it comes to, and the Rizzler threw today, Dolo, that's right. So if the Mets go on a winning streak, we're going to give credit to the Rizzler this time because this is something that we just do, right? Something has to be the reason. It's not just the players on the field. It has to be something else. So yes, the Rizzler did do out the first pitch today, which was pretty cool. And listen, I still worry about the starting pitching. The way they pitched, that's the way I expected. I didn't expect them to be bad, but I do expect them to be a little bit better. And I don't care what anybody says. If you can't get to a fifth inning as a starting pitcher, that's an issue, right? The Mets have overcome it with clutch hitting when needed late in games and excellent bullpen for the start of the season. That is key. That is key because the strength of this team, if you had to rank them from 1, 2, and 3, was the offense, the bullpen, and the starting pitching. And as of right now, the bullpen's leading the pack. The offense, hasn't been running on all cylinders. They haven't been, as good as they thought they would be, but it's early in the season. Not going to go crazy. We're still 6-3, even with the offense not being that good, with Juan Soto not being Juan Soto at this point. Lindor just started kicking it up a little bit in the start of the homestand. And Pete Alonso has been red hot. I think he went 0 for 3 today or 1 for 4 today. But still, the bullpen has been outstanding, and that's been the big reason why we won 6 games out of the 9 to start the season because of the bullpen. The starting pitching, I think it's been subpar. I think it's been a little under average, a little over under average, a little bit, just a little. I just need them to pick it up a little bit more. I need another inning from these guys, right? David Peterson can't be the only one to throw 6 innings every start. It just doesn't work because, you got Clay Holmes who has really good stuff that gets away from that one pitch that he learned, in the offseason and was dominant in spring training with that pitch. I'm not saying he's going to be dominant with that pitch now, but he's only thrown it 3% of the time in his first 2 starts and still couldn't get out of the 5th inning. That's a problem. This guy is supposed to be at the top of the rotation here, right? The Mets made you believe, based on what he's shown in spring training and what they believe he can be, and put him at the top of the rotation. Well, he's got to perform like a guy at the top of the rotation, especially when Sean Manaea and Montas is not in the rotation. And we almost got a scare with David Peterson. Luckily, if you haven't heard, David Peterson didn't have no physical injury. It was just a weird situation where he felt out of breath. He basically lost his breath, kind of like took the wind out of him, and he had a little bit of blurry vision, which is a little scary. But again, maybe it was whiplash that kind of messed him up or rotated his body the wrong way. Whatever it was, it's nothing physical, back, hip, or arm or anything like that. So that's a great sign. All signs are he's going to pitch in his next start, so that's a really good sign when it comes to David Peterson. But look, David Peterson, I think he could have went 6 innings today. It's just that he just didn't have it the entire game. I don't know if he was dealing with something, like an illness, like being a little sick. Maybe he's a little under the weather and not using that as an excuse. And it just caught up to him in the middle of the game when he was pitching. And he was a little off today. Nothing was really working. He was on the outside part of the plate and off the plate. Everything was going to the outside batter's box, especially against all the righties that they put in the lineup for the Blue Jays. He just couldn't get a lot of stuff over. And still with that, he only gave up 1 run. And that is kudos to David Peterson. And me and Chris talked about this on the pregame today, that David Peterson has ace-like stuff. He has that attitude. He has that demeanor on the mound where you ain't going to beat me, I'm going to beat you. And he has that mentality. He has the stuff. We see what he did last year. Being healthy and the stuff that he has, you can put him in a position and he will give you the best chance to win on the mound. And that's what I love about David Peterson now that he's healthy. When it comes to this Blue Jays series, this was a Blue Jays team that was coming in. They were 5-2 coming into Citi Field to play the Mets. They're playing pretty well. They were pitching well. Their offense hasn't shown the power that everybody expects them to have with Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero, and Anthony Santander. But they were still playing well. They were 5-2 coming into the series against the Mets. And the Mets basically shut them down. The grand total of 3 runs were scored by the Toronto Blue Jays in this series, and that is mostly because of the bullpen. But even though the starters didn't go long, when they were in the game, they shut them down for the most part. And even though I would like the starters to go a little bit longer, they still were able, while they were in the game, to put up mostly zeros. Obviously, they gave up a couple of runs, but nothing crazy. Overall, they did an excellent job with the Toronto Blue Jays. And, everybody was talking throughout the series, whoa, we got to be careful here, because this team hasn't been hitting a lot of home runs. The first three guys in the lineup hasn't hit a home run yet, and Bichette, Guerrero, and Santander. I think Andres Gimenez has 3, and somebody else has another. I think they had like 4 or 5 home runs since the season started. So everybody's like, oh, they're going to be due. Well, the Mets pitching was like, yeah, good luck. Not only was the weather an issue, because there was at least 10 balls that were hit tremendously hard that I thought were out off the bat from the Blue Jay side and the Mets side, and they barely hit the warning track. The one that Winker hit yesterday felt like the one that actually, had the best chance of going out, and it hit the wall. So in April, in the Northeast, you're going to get these type of games. You're not going to hit a lot of balls out. So a lot of times you're going to have a lot of low scoring games. You're going to have a lot of, pitchers duel, not specifically with the starters, but with the pitcher staffs as well. Just look at it today or yesterday too. Chris Bassett and even Francis today pitched extremely well. The Mets got to their bullpen. And that's what the Mets started to do last year when they started to get red hot. Even if they couldn't hit the starter, they would wait until the team puts in their bullpen and they would take advantage of it. The Mets were getting them late in the runs, and they're starting to do that now again. Even with them, the lineup not hitting great, they're still able to do it and still able to put through some victories there without the lineup being the juggernaut that we all think they're going to be. So an excellent performance all around, from the starters to the offense to the bullpen. Even though the bullpen is the star of the show, they're still getting the clutch hits late. The starting pitching, even though not going deep into games, or at least getting through the 5th inning, getting to the 6th inning at the very least, they're still putting up good enough numbers. So when the bullpen does come in, they just got to shut it down, or they got to limit the damage, and the offense has a chance to come back and win ball games. And that's exactly what they just need to continue to do until the offense start to pick up and the starters go a little bit further. Because if you look at all the games as of right now, the starting pitchers, I don't think anybody pitched bad. Nobody's really pitched bad. I'm not going to say bad because that's not fair to anybody in this rotation. They haven't pitched bad. But while they're in there, they've gave their team a chance to win. They gave it to the bullpen with the game still in hand. And the offense, obviously the games that we lost, the offense didn't come through. That was a fact. The 2 games in Houston and the 1 game in Miami. So let's just see if this offense picks it up some more. We know the guys that have to pick it up some more, and they got to start doing it. Eventually, I think it's going to start hurting the bullpen if you're going to continue to get 4 2/3, barely 5 innings from most of your starters. Eventually, tomorrow we're probably not going to have Diaz. We're not going to have Minter. We're not going to have Kranick. Possibly might not even have Ree Garrett. So you're going to go with Brazaban, who's been good this year. You're going to probably have to go with Danny Young. And, that's troublesome because you do have Kodai Senga that, pitched pretty decent last time out, but he also didn't provide the length that you were looking for. It would be nice. Give your bullpen a rest every now and then. You can't continue to go to the bullpen every single time. I mean, when your bullpen throws more innings than your starters in 9 games, that's a problem. It's very similar in innings, and that's not good. And explosive, yeah, I did see that the rain is supposed to rain all day tomorrow. But you know what? It was supposed to rain Saturday and Sunday almost from the time the game started until the end, and it kind of held up. Like it missed it. It was misty all Saturday, and they were able to get it in. And Sunday, it held up. So, again, we'll see about the forecast. When it starts to get a little bit warmer, and I know it's been cold in New York, but when it starts to get a little bit changing of the seasons, the weather changes so rapidly. It can be rain in the forecast, and then it won't rain, and they'll be able to get the game in. But There is a possibility. Again, the Marlins are just coming in. They would love to do a doubleheader early in the season. I'd rather have doubleheaders early in the season than late in the season. And that's the other thing when it comes to the bullpen. You can't predict, weather, but when you constantly use your bullpen the way the Mets have, because your starters haven't gone deep in 9 games, one guy has got to the 6th inning, and two other guys got to the 5th inning. Everybody else has been lower than that. If you get stuck in a doubleheader type of situation, which could be very recent, and as Explosive said, it might rain tomorrow, and they might not get the game in. They're going to have a doubleheader. Well, guess what? Now you got to use a lot more bullpen, and you got to use 2 starting pitchers in a day. You got to use more bullpen, and after Thursday, on your last off day as a travel day, you got, I think it's 13 straight days. So you got 2 weeks of baseball with no days off. So when you're constantly going to be using your bullpen arms, if these guys don't go at least 5 or 6 innings, you're going to be using between 4 and 5, maybe even 6 bullpen arms just to get through a game. And that's a dangerous game to play, especially in your first month of the season. That's when things can get a little bit, chippy a little bit, because they might crack a little bit. And right now, you need the bullpen when you're starting pitching, can't go deep into ball games. And that's when we're going to see when the Mets, hopefully that offense starts to pick it up to help the bullpen and the starters, because there's a possibility they're going to start giving up more runs. I think we all know that this always ain't going to last. Like, I think the bullpen's still going to be very good, but when you start to overuse them, you can see what happens. The offense will start to, hit them a little bit, and they might still be good, but we'll see. Rob, you think runs on the board affects the pitcher staying in? No, I don't. I don't agree with that, Ken, at all. I don't believe that the starting pitcher is pitching not to his capabilities because, oh my God, the Mets only have 2 runs. It's only a 1-run ball game. I don't believe that. You're a professional baseball player. You're not a high school kid. You're not a little leaguer. No, Ken, I'm not wrong. You're wrong. That is kind of stupid, because what is the excuse for the bullpen guys coming in and doing the job in later situations and a close game? So we're not going to give we're going to give the credit to the bullpen, but we're going to make excuses for the starter. I'm sorry, that's not the case. We saw the problem. What was the problem? Why didn't McGill come out of the game? Because he started to get a little bit wild. He started walking guys. Mendoza was like, I'm not keeping this guy in the game. Why? Because we see McGill blow up before. Same thing with Griffin Cannon, right? He was pitching well. He had 6 strikeouts. All of a sudden, he couldn't find a plate, gave up a hit, gave up a walk. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, what's going on here? And they took him out of the ballgame. So pitching under stress, I'm sorry, pitching under stress in the 4th inning isn't stress. I'm sorry. Maybe if you get to the 6th inning and it gets a little bit later, and I can see the starter getting a little stressed and pitching under pressure. But come on, you're in the 4th inning and you're worrying about pressure when it's 2-1 or 1-0. Come on. Like that's kind of like, then they shouldn't play baseball then. They shouldn't be in Major League Baseball. I'm sorry. But no, overall, I'm not wrong, because Griffin Cannon did the same thing. What's Clay Holmes' excuse? You're going to tell me it's more pressure to be a starting pitcher than coming in the 9th inning to save a game, 3 runs or less? Let's see. Mets 5 2/3 innings for the most part. Yeah, because of 2 guys. Everybody else, no. Like, I'm sorry. Clay Holmes needs to get through the 5th inning. He's done it twice already. What are we going to say? Oh, it's the pressure of the situation in the 4th inning? Come on. That's silly. All right, do better. All right, the bullpen has been outstanding, and they've been coming in pressurized situations late in games where the game could have got away from them, like a day like yesterday. The game could have got easily in on yesterday. Could have easily got away yesterday. So how about getting through the inning? I'm sorry. How can you not get through the 5th inning if you're a starter? Like, don't be a starter. I'm sorry. It's a silly thing to say. Like, now we're making excuses for these guys. Ken, you can make all the excuses you want. I won't. Because when it starts to hurt the bullpen and when the offense don't score runs, who we're going to blame? Because if we would have lost these games, we would be blaming the starters. The reason why nobody's blaming the starters or telling the starters to do better and get at least an extra couple of outs is because we've won. Like, let's make no mistake about it. We would have been killing the offense for not getting the job done. You're going to kill the rotation because they're not doing enough. And if you're losing those games, you can't blame the bullpen if they're doing their job. Ken, yes, he would absolutely. He's done it many times because we saw McGill blow up where you can have a 2 or 3 run lead. McGill would be pitching fine. All of a sudden, he'll walk a guy, he'll give up a base hit, and then it gives up a 3-run bomb. We've seen McGill do it before. We have no idea what Griffin Cannon's going to do. Last year, he had a 5.5 ERA in 30 starts. So, I mean, how much can that actually, be shocking what he's done? Do you expect him to be better? We all hope so. But he had a 5.5 ERA last year, right? David Peterson, right? What's David Peterson's excuse? He wasn't in a pressurized situation, right? I know this was an injury situation. And Ken, I'm not talking about last year. Both times this year, Mendoza took out McGill before he can blow up. Both times he took out McGill put 2 runners on with nobody out. Both times this year already. So, no, it wasn't last year. See, Ken, you're wrong. Yeah, again, Ken, but see, you forget. You forget about June, you forget about July, you forget about August. He has a good 4 to 5 starts in the beginning, a good 3, 4, 5 starts at the end, but in between is where he has his most difficult stretch of the year. Now, we all hope that changes. We hope he can consistently do it throughout the whole year. That's why he hasn't been a consistent starter in this rotation. The reason why both times he's been in this rotation was because of injuries. So the fact of the matter is he needs to be more consistent. But Mendoza has taken him out in the Houston game, and the last game he pitched against Toronto. Both times he put 2 men on in the 5th inning. And he took him out. They didn't even bother trying to see if he can get out of it. Why do you think that? Because Mendoza doesn't trust Tyler McGill. Because we've seen him blow up many times, especially in the middle of a game, especially when he sees a lineup that's second to the 3rd time through the order. Now, I'm not saying he can't do it. There's going to be a time when our bullpen has been overused and McGill's got to get through his own little, problem and get through his mess. And we will see it. Mendoza has shown confidence in guys to do it. Now, are they going to do it? We'll see. Listen, I hope Griffin Cannon and Tyler McGill pitch well. We need them to. Until Minaya and Montas come back, there ain't anywhere else to go. Well, let's see. You say last year doesn't matter, but you only talk about their past. Yeah, I talk about their past, but I'm not talking about their past because I'm talking about this year. I don't care what Griffin Cannon did last year. But acting like Griffin Cannon is going to be a number 3 starter, and we're shocked that he's doing what he's doing when he had a 5.5 ERA last year. So, oops. That's what he is. Now, can he be better? Look, probably. We hope so. But again, Tyler McGill, you just said to me, he had a 2.5 ERA last year, McGill. So you're talking about last year, but I can't do it. No, McGill hasn't been fine. Sorry. How many more times is he going to get kicked out of the rotation? Because when you have 4 months of inconsistency and you're going to give me April and August, and then, last time I checked, 4 months is more than 2 months. So he needs to be more consistent on a consistent basis throughout the year. Because he's going to be a part of this rotation for a while at the very least. We have no idea when Minaya is coming back. Montas has been throwing a little bit, but, Minaya had a setback. He just had a PRP injection. We have no idea. But they're going to get a lot more opportunities over the next month. So we will see. We will see. The only thing I do know is that we all want them to do well. And we all will be cheering for him because we want to win. regardless of who's on the mound. All right, so the Mets do sweep the Blue Jays. They won today 2-1 for the sweep of the series. They got that record to 6-3, 4 in a row for the Mets, and that is a winning streak, guys. Obviously, 3 in a row is a winning streak. Now we're on 4 in a row. Now we're playing the Miami Marlins once again. We're seeing the same pitches except for Alcantara. We're gonna see Myers, as you can see on your screen. We got Senga, Holmes, and I'm sorry, I switched that around. That's my fault. The third game is McGill, obviously. Meyer is on the other side, so that's my bad. But Myers, Gillespie, and TBD, because Alcantara is not pitching tomorrow because his wife's having a baby. So that should help the Mets, but who knows? We don't know who's pitching as of yet. I don't know if they changed it, but they haven't. The last time I checked, that was about an hour ago. So let's go and see what we get out of Senga, Holmes, and McGill. I'm very interested in the home start. I want to see him do better. Again, he is at home. He's facing a lineup that I don't think is very good. He should pitch well against his team, but who knows? Darling Keith would tear you up, my friend. Well, I hope so, because they're the best booth in baseball. If they don't, then they should retire. Beatty's a lost cause. Explosive, I don't even want to talk about Beatty. Beatty's just a joke. Like, the guy doesn't adjust at all. In between bats, during at-bats, he doesn't adjust at all. He takes the same fastballs down the middle and swings that garbage. He hasn't been terrible at second base. He hasn't made an error, so I guess that's a good thing. But other than that, I don't know how long he's going to last when McNeil comes back. But it's also annoying because of the fact that Acuna is not really doing much either. So it's not good at second base. I mean, luckily the Mets have overcome that problem at second base because everybody else has been doing, picking up the slack. But other than that, I think Beatty's gone when McNeil comes back. Yeah, Ken, you know what that's called? That's called recap. That's a good one. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. Cherry pick. Because you can't just, look at the Mets and say, oh, sunshine and rainbow, 6-3, right? They could have easily lost a couple of these games. Very easily. They could have easily lost yesterday when we couldn't get a hit until the 8th inning. Right? So let's not act like this team has been running all, been absolutely perfect, and it's just been great because they could have lost. Look, that Miami game, they got very lucky. They played terrible, but they found a way to win, which is a great sign, by the way. Great teams find ways to win, and that's what they're doing, regardless of who's playing well or who's not. So that's already a great sign. I know, Ken, we talked about that the other day. That's a great sign. But we also got to understand that there is some parts of the team that needs to get better. Like, why am I talking about it if we're just going to talk positive? I mean, nobody should do shows anymore if we're only going to talk positive. Like, that's silly. Yeah, well, Ken, I agree with you. I know they're not perfect. I never asked them to be perfect. I'm asking Clay Holmes to get an extra 2 or 3 outs. I'm not asking him for 8 innings. Same thing with Tyler McGill. Same thing with Griffin Cannon, David Peterson, and other and Senga. Excuse me. So I'm asking him to get a couple of more outs. And yeah, you're damn right I'm negative. If you're a Mets fan and not negative, then are you a true Mets fan? Because you've been dealing with nonsense forever. And it's not negative, it's facts. Sorry if facts make you feel like you have to crawl into a corner, but that's a fact. The fact is, your starters need to go a little bit deeper. I'm not asking them to go 8 innings. That's not realistic in today's game. But can you give me 5 2/3 consistently? Not 4 2/3 or 4 1/3? Like, come on. Like, I'm not asking for much. I'm really not. New team, new regime. Okay, you said that. Did you say that last year? Because you really did it. You see, this is funny about Ken, guys. I just want to say, right? All offseason, he destroyed David Stearns. All he did, small market Stearns. He don't know what he's doing. So this is the same guy that says I'm negative, but he was killing it. And a lot of people are in the chat in the offseason. He said this. about David Stearns. He couldn't stand David Stearns. What is he doing? He don't know what he's doing. So, yeah, negative. Bullpen's been great. Starting pitching, give up. No, yeah, I agree with you. Okay, didn't I just say that? And no, starting pitching, there is a little bit of negative not going a little bit deeper into ball games. That is a negative. Sorry, it is. We've found a way to win those games despite the starters going a little bit deeper. Because the bullpen has been great. Because the offense has at least recently, has been getting more clutch hits. They still been leaving a ton of men on, which is a problem at this point. Yeah, exactly, Ken. Yes, you did. So, okay, you're negative. Don't be negative. How dare you? We have to be positive about our New York Mets. New team, new regime. Remember? Be positive. So when they lose 10 in a row, I have to talk about all the positive because Ken said so, guys. Remember that. No, I don't want perfection. I want a little bit better. How about that? Because this team should be 8-1. They should be. They shouldn't have lost that game against the Marlins. And I think they should have won on opening day in Houston. So, yeah, they should have been 8-1. And don't give me, oh, it's early. Those two games don't matter. Bullshit. They really do. All right, guys, so let's get to the Mets staff as a whole. I'm going to talk positive because Ken doesn't think I do, but we're going to talk positive right now, guys. Here we go. All right, so let's just go. All right, so listen, guys, positive. Hold on. No, Ken, you don't. You really don't. I'm sorry, you don't. All right, so here we go. Reed Garrett, Max Kranick, Yoasker Brazaban. Ken hates Brazaban. That's negative. How dare he? 18 and a third innings, 0 ERA, a .44 whip, 16 inherited runners. I wonder where those runners came from. It wasn't from the bullpen. The starters left those runners on base. How about that? So, inherited runners, to give Ken a little fact, when they inherit runners, that means the starters, most of the time, left those runners. Because if you look when these guys came into ball games, it's been the 5th inning, it's been the 6th inning, it's been the 4th inning, in the middle of an inning. So they inherited 16 runners and none of them scored. Oh, Ken, last year, you see, guys? When Ken needs to make a point, he talks about last year. You can't do that no more. Ken said no. So that's what I'm doing. The purple long sleeve is awesome, explosive. I really like that. I was shocked that I actually liked the City Connect jersey. I thought Nike was gonna mess it up, but they didn't. Thank God. But they're really nice. I like the purple sleeves. I always liked it, so it's great. Reed Garrett, Max Kranick, Yoasker Brazaban. One more time. 18 in the third innings, 0 ERA, 16 inherited runners, and none of those runners scored. So those three guys have been outstanding, but guys that are not mentioned, all of them has pitched well. Danny Young has been the only negative in the bullpen, but even him can't discourage how good this bullpen has been. And the Mets are the best in baseball in ERA, 1.29 ERA. That's awesome. That is very, very exciting. It really is. Holmes' new role as a starter, I think he's doing fine. Yeah, well, the Mets made him to be basically a number 2 or number 3. Sorry, fine's not good enough. I'm sorry. Holmes needs to be better. And again, I think Holmes needs to throw that changeup that he developed and learned in the offseason. Again, we can talk about this a lot with Clay Holmes. Oh, what's the starting pitching ERA? I'm not even going to talk about that. You know why? Because the innings are very early in the season. When your bullpen has thrown more innings than your starters, I'm not going about starting pitching ERA. And it's obviously going to be pretty good. But again, the innings are very limited. I'm sorry, when Clay Holmes has pitched, 9 innings in 2 games? 8 and 2/3? So, yeah, of course his ERA is not going to be 5. But as I said earlier, and Ken doesn't want to admit that I said this, but what I said was when they've been in the game, which hasn't been long, they've done well. They haven't blown up games and given their teams a chance to win. I agree, Ken. But again, every one of these starters, and if you look at the pitchers around the league, there's teams that guys are going 6 or 7 innings. They're pitching better. I'm sorry. You can give up 2 runs and go 4 in the third. You can tell me that's good all you want. You're fooling yourself. It's just the silliest thing ever. I'm sorry. The same way where people don't care about average, but it only matters when guys don't hit home runs. So it goes with... Well, Ken, but that's the point, though. I'm sorry, but I don't think 4 innings is good. If you think 4 and 2/3 is good, then great. Be excited about that. Have a drink on me. Other than that, I don't give a shit, because 5 innings is the limit for me. If you can't get through 5 innings, then your ass should either be in the bullpen or in the minors. You're not a good pitcher. You're not a good starting pitcher. And again, I've said this for a while. I don't know if Clay Holmes is going to become a very good starting pitcher. Now, can he be an average starting pitcher? Sure. There's a lot of average starting pitchers that probably don't deserve to be in the rotation. I still believe that Clay Holmes is going to go to the bullpen eventually, especially when Manaea and Montas comes back. I think that if Clay Holmes continues to pitch 4 1/3, 4 2/3, because he has the stuff to pitch well. That's a fact. He developed that quick change because he knows that his arsenal that he had in the bullpen isn't going to be good enough to be a starter. So he developed that kick change. Yet he's thrown it 3% of the time. So the pitch that you developed to give you an opportunity to become a starter, to add that extra pitch, you're not using while you're a starter in your first 2 starts. Now, maybe he didn't have a feel for it out of the bullpen or whatever reason, but you got to start throwing it. You got to put some doubt in the pitcher's mind. When you got 2 pitchers that are actually really good, but when the batters see you a second time and a third time through the order, and oh, by the way, when he threw 4 2/3 in Houston, he went through the third time through the batting order. You know why? Because they were getting hits off of him. So he needs to at least put doubt in the batter's mind when it comes to that other pitch, because it does seem like they're not swinging at his other pitches right now. And he's just, I don't know, he's just a little off. And again, could that be the jitters of becoming a starter, learning to be a starter? Okay, great. All right, you're going into number 3 right now. I agree, Explosive. 5 innings should be a minimum. Anything less is not a good start. I'm sorry to say. It's just not. Because if you don't go 5 innings in the start, that means at some point in those first 4 innings, you've thrown a lot of pitches. So you're either walking guys or you're getting into deep counts and you can't put away a batter. All 3 of those signs means that you didn't have a good start. Sorry. That's just the way it is. That's simple math. That's simple baseball. There ain't no analytics involved. Clay Holmes had a 25-pitch inning. Cannon yesterday had a 27-pitch inning. McGill the other day had 30-pitch inning. Like, that kills your start. That has to be avoided. I'm not saying it has to happen every time because, again, baseball is baseball, but this is 2 times through the rotation round. That is the second time they've all had that problem. So, yeah, Ken, that's why they haven't gone that extra inning. I'm not asking them to go 7. Shit, I'm not even asking them to go 6 at this point. Give me 5 innings. Finish that 5th inning. But because Cannon, Holmes, even McGill in his last start was taken out of games because they had a long inning, 27, 28, 30 pitches, and it raised their pitch count, which makes them not being able, because Mendoza has had a quick trigger. It seems like 85 pitches, which I don't mind because it's early on in the season. But that has to change because there is going to be a time when Mendoza is going to be like, guess what? McGill, Cannon, Holmes, whoever, get out of your jam. You put 2 men on, nobody out. I ain't bringing a bullpen in. I'm trying to save this. I'm trying to save my bullpen arms. You get out of it. And let's see if they will, because it's going to come to a point where Mendoza has to trust these guys at some point. You can't pull Clay Holmes and McGill and Griffin Cannon and go to the well every single time when they get in trouble. Let them get out of it. How else are they going to figure it out? Because if you're always going to get them out of games, when are they ever going to get that experience, especially Clay Holmes? We've seen McGill either do it or blow up. Griffin Cannon, go back to last year. You know, I started to check his stats during the game, and I'm going by last year because that's all I have. I got 2 starts from the Mets. Now, he's thrown his pitches differently than he did last year. He throws a lot more sliders, about 20% more, which is just the baseball lab doing its thing, the pitching lab doing its thing. So we'll see if that changes and makes him a better pitcher. But it still hasn't changed what his problem was last year, and that is walking a lot of guys. When he gets in trouble, when he can't locate his fastball, he starts walking guys, which adds pitches in that inning, and his pitch count goes up, which has a tendency to make managers get him out of games. That has been his problem in his career. Short career, but in his career. So that's been the problem. Well, Ken, I didn't never disagree with you about that. I've said that a couple of times in the stream. The Mets starters have kept the team in the ball game, but that ultimately doesn't mean that they had good starts. That's not a good start. I'm sorry. If you can't get through a 5th inning, I don't care what the runs are. 4 1/3, 4 2/3, 3 1/3. It's not a good start. It's not a solid start. It's not even an average start. An average start is 5 innings. A good start is 5 innings with no runs. I'm sorry, but get through a 5th inning. Give me a 5 innings. Because 5 innings, 2 runs is still keeping you in the ball games. 4 1/3 with 2 runs, yeah, it keeps you in the ball game. But guess what? Now you got to get a couple more outs from your bullpen. Well, Brad, every game, I think except one, I think it was the first Peterson game in Miami where he went 6 innings, where the bullpen has pitched 4 innings or more. Like, it's not sustainable. And Ken, would you rather have 5 2/3 with 3 runs given up? Well, what dictates that is what's the score at that moment. Because if the Mets are winning 4-3, yeah, guess what? That starter is coming out of the game winning the ball game. So is that a bad start? No. 5 2. I'm not saying it's a great start, but 5 2/3 with 3 runs is average. It's an average start. But it dictates if the Mets are losing 3-0, well, it's kind of an average start. It's probably a little bit below average. But why is he out in 5 2/3? Why? Because he thrown almost 90 pitches in 5 2/3? So why did he throw so many pitches? Well, he probably couldn't put batters away. He probably walked people. So, no, technically that might not be a good start. But if the Mets are winning 4-3 or the game is 3-3, well, Ken, of course scoring runs is key. But you're making excuses for the starters saying, oh, they're under stress because they're not winning or the Mets are not scoring, so they're trying to be perfect. Sure, every pitcher's trying to be perfect, but most of these guys are starters. They've been through this before. So what is their problem? Either you're a starter or you're not. If you want to make that excuse for Clay Holmes, sure, maybe I'll give you that argument. But when are we going to stop talking about, oh, he's just starting to figure things out as a starter? What, start 20? Yeah, Ken, I'm very difficult because we're trying to win with a bunch of rotation guys that how many guys do you actually trust? Right? Senga pitches tomorrow. Apparently he's healthy. Well, he should pitch well. Now, we're really going to see McGill, Holmes, Senga. We're going to see these guys second time facing the same team. I'm sorry. Senga and Holmes going to face the same team twice. Can that be good? Can that be possible? Who knows? But we shall see. All right. So the Mets offensive stats. Let's get to the offensive stats because they're not good. All right, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. New York Mets team hitting stats through the first 3 series of the year, the first 9 games of the season. Batting average, everybody's favorite stat that nobody cares about anymore. Batting 197, pretty good. Positive, Ken. Let's go. 4th worst in Major League Baseball, yet they're 6-3. So up from here, apparently, right? All right, here we go. On base percentage, 282, 6th worst in Major League Baseball. Not good. Home runs, 8 home runs, 20th most in baseball. That should be better. I think this team has more power than they did the last couple of seasons. RBIs, 32, 20th most in Major League Baseball. Strikeouts, 67, 5th most in Major League Baseball. Walks, 30, 16th in Major League Baseball. So what does this all tell you? The offense needs to be better. The offense is going to be better, right? When you have Vientos not really doing anything, Juan Soto getting on base, walking for the most part, but hasn't really been hitting to his capability, so that's a problem. I mean, besides Luis Torrens and Pete Alonso, it's kind of the only 2 guys that are really doing anything. Lindor has picked up the last couple of games. Winker showed some life in the first 2 games of the first couple of games in the series at home. So that's good. But more guys got to pick it up. Juan Soto's got to pick it up. We got to see Brandon Nimmo pick it up a little more. Mark Vientos for sure. And somebody at the bottom of the order needs to show some life. Luis Torrens has been good at the bottom of the order, but Siri, Beatty, Acuna, not good at all. Like, second base has been a no-show. I mean, 4 hits between them out of like 30 at-bats? Doesn't excite me at all. Jose Siri has been getting a couple of more starts over Tyrone Taylor. I think that's going to change rather quickly as Siri, his base running is really good, but again, he doesn't get on base. So that's a problem within itself. So Tyrone Taylor is probably going to get the start. You're probably going to see him play these next couple of games. Hidden Sanger played the last 2 games, was fine. No problem there. Backup catcher did a good job. So when you got Luis Torrens and Pete Alonso doing basically everything for this team for the first couple of games, first week and a half of the season, this is why you're fourth worst in batting average, 6th worst in on base, 20th most home runs, 20th most RBIs, and 5th most in MLB with Ks. So the strikeouts are going to be there because everybody strikes out. The walks, I think the Mets should be better because Juan Soto, with his walks, Pete Alonso has had a great eye at the plate for the first week and a half of the season, so that's a good sign. The average needs to pick up. You can't have a team average of 197. And again, the Mets could easily be 6 and they could have easily been 8-1, but they easily could have been 3-6. They could have easily lost a couple of these games, but they didn't. And signs of a good team is winning games you probably shouldn't. And the Mets probably pulled about 2 or 3 of them out of their hat to win these ball games, and that's good. And Nimmo always goes on a run. It's just a matter of can he maintain it. He did it for like a year and a half. And then, he had a year like last year. And then this year, he's kind of, he has 2 home runs, but God, that batting average annoys me so much. The on base is terrible. He's striking out more. Pisses me off. But I think Nimmo's going to start going too. I've been betting Nimmo for hits and a home run a couple of days now. So I'm feeling it too with Nimmo. He's putting the bat on the ball. He's putting good swings together. I think a couple, he's got hit into bad luck. A couple times line drives that hit right at people. It's just the luck of the draw. What are you going to do? So, all right, guys. So the Mets offensive stats are not really good. Let me run through it one more time. Batting average, 197, 4th worst in Major League Baseball. On base percentage, 282, 6th worst in baseball. Home runs, 8, 20th most in Major League Baseball. I think that's going to pick up the home. Again, besides the 2 series, Miami in Houston with the roof, you should have hit more. It's a bit hit his ballpark, but Miami with the roof open, balls that should have went out weren't going out, and obviously we know about Citi Field in April, so the ball's not going to jump. So I understand the low home run total early on in the season because it's just, I mean, the Mets should have had 2 home runs today easily, maybe even 3, and the wind knocked them down. The weather knocked it down. So I'm not too concerned about the home runs at all. RBI is 32, 20th most in Major League Baseball. That's concerning. They've left over 60-something men on base and about 27 in runners in scoring position left on base. That's got to get better. You're not going to win a lot of ball games. I don't care how good your pitching is. If you're not going to come through, you're going to lose games that you just won today 2-1. It might flip and you lose 2-1. You can't lose those type of games. Your offense is too good to have that happen. So over 60 men left on base, just about 30 men left in runners in scoring position. That's got to change. You got to cut those in half at the very least. That the offense got to be better with that RBI total. 32 RBIs, and he is still 6-3. Kudos to the pitching, by the way. Walks is not terrible. They're in the middle of the pack. 30 walks. Again, walks and strikeouts are a weird stat only because a lot of guys strike out. So you're obviously not going to walk a lot. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But offense has got to be better. And Ken, you're right. The Mets will have the Marlins, the Athletics, and then the Twins. And then after that, the Cardinals. The Cardinals are bad. They're really bad. So the Mets have an opportunity to beat up on the Marlins. The Athletics they got a couple of good young players. They got a couple of good pitchers as well. So they're not going to be an easy team, but the Mets are better than them. They take 2 out of 3, right? I'm not getting greedy with them. With the Marlins, you should sweep them, but obviously 2 out of 3. Just keep winning series. Obviously, we'll take sweeps, but keep winning series. The Twins aren't very good, but it's going to be extremely cold in Minnesota. It might even snow when the Mets are there. So when weather's a factor, you can be the best team in baseball and the worst team in baseball. Shit happens when weather's bad. So, and then you got the Cardinals for 4 games that when you come back home, and they're not good. So this is an opportunity, and this is the month of April. The Mets have the 3rd easiest schedule in baseball in April. They got to take advantage of that. I said that before. I'm going to keep on saying it. You got to be with between 5 to 10 games over 500 by the month of April. That gives you a little bit of leg room, a little bit of room to have a little bit of a hiccup in May and possibly June. Because even if you are 5 games under 500, or worst case scenario, 10 games under 500 in May or June, you don't ultimately end up being 5 to 10 games under 500. You just get back to 500. Worst case scenario. And yeah, the Braves keep on losing. The Phillies are good. We all know the Phillies are good, but I still believe that the Phillies, I don't know. I still think there's something missing with the Phillies, but again, they beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. They're not a bad team. We all know that. They're a good team. I don't know. Maybe the Mets kind of, knock the Braves off the tracks because they don't look good at all. And can I agree? The next 5 they need to take 5 out of 6. The next 6 games between the Marlins and the Athletics. Do that. I think they should sweep the Marlins again. Baseball. We all know that. Get the job done. I want to see the offense be more productive. Right? I think we're going to see Acuna in the lineup the next couple of days. I think we're going to see Tyrone Taylor in there the next couple of days. So again, Acuna hasn't been hitting either, but he at least shows a pulse at the plate, unlike Beatty. Jose Siri not looking good at the plate. Tyrone Taylor, throw him in there. Hopefully it helps out the bottom of the order along with Luis Torrens if he's going to play tomorrow. Because Luis Torrens does have a forearm contusion. He might play tomorrow, but again, Senga has done his job. He has a couple of hits in his both starts, so that's a good sign. We shall see. Right now, guys, the Mets are 6-3. They've won 4 in a row. They are playing well. Overall, they're playing well, right? When the pitching keeps you in the ball game, it gives your offense, who might not be doing nothing all game, still a chance to come through like they did yesterday and like they did today, right? They got out early, which is a nice sign, and the pitching held it. Yesterday, when the pitching was keeping you in the ball game, eventually the offense woke up and took care of business with Winker getting the job done, getting the two-run triple, and with Lindor winning the ball game. So that's exactly what you need to do to win, is to find ways to win regardless of what's going on in that game. And the Mets have been doing that. So we got the Marlins for 3 games. We got Kodai Senga on the mound against TBD. We don't know yet. We'll see who it's going to be, but you got Holmes against Gillespie, and you got McGill versus Myers. So we've seen Gillespie, we've seen Meyer. Both of those guys the Mets have seen. So they should be able to adjust to whatever the problems were trying to hit them. And that's what they got to do in this series. You're home. It's going to be cold, probably rainy. Beat this team. They're not good. And we'll see how it goes. After that, we got the Athletics for 3. Then we got the Twins for 3. And it's not on the screen, but we got the Cardinals for 4 to come back home. So after the Marlins series, we're going on the road to Sacramento to play the A's. And then we're going to frigid Minnesota to play 3 against the Twins before we come back home to play the Cardinals. So, guys, tomorrow, pregame show, 6 p.m., myself and Chris. And, of course, postgame show after the game, whenever that may be. I put 10 o'clock just as a time slot, but we'll see when the game ends. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, guys. Follow me on XTMWRNYM. Follow me on all social media platforms. Same at TMWRNYM. With that said, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Mets Talk Live. First one, technically, of 2025 for the season. I'm going to do Mets Talk Lives every week. Most of the time, it's going to be on Sunday after the week of games, week of series of games. 5, 6, 7, whatever it might be. So every Sunday, there'll be a Mets Talk Live to do series recaps, series previews, and talk whatever else is going on with the New York Mets. So with that said, guys, enjoy the rest of your night. Get ready for the work week. Have a good night, guys. Let's go Mets. And 4-game winning streak, guys. Let's keep it going, guys. Good night, guys. Let's go Mets.
From Shady City, the journey's never gimmicky. Put Bob on the mic, spitting truth from the heights. Queens unite under stadium lights. Bright nights, 7 train rides. Dreams born in the real hum. Brooklyn to Queens, yeah, we all about that outcome. This our time, this our cheer. Mets Talk Live, bring the hype, make it clear. From the boroughs to the field, this our year. Queens in the house, let the world hear. From Flushing Meadows, echoes bounce off the bat. Rob calls, take the mic, snaps like a thunderclap. Home runs over bridges, no gaps in the story. Mets rise, reclaiming the glory. 7 the city, blue and orange on